Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
The Man That Can Project podcast, a podcast empowering career-driven men to live more fulfilling lives. We are here to challenge your beliefs, redefine success, and talk about the important stuff in a relatable way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. My name's Lachie, Stuart. Let's get into it.
Gents, before we dive into today's episode, I quickly want to bring to your attention the free webinar that's been run on Tuesday, the 28th of June, How to Build Massive Confidence. Now, within this webinar, I'm going to talk about how to achieve high levels of success in any or every area of life, the number one reason you lack confidence and how to overcome it, and a proven framework to instantly get what you want. Confidence to me is a skill, right? It may be something that you feel, but it is a learned skill that when you learn that framework, you can put in any area of your life. It's the reason why I believe I built the confidence to create a podcast, to run a company, to be a great husband, because once you learn it once and you can decompartmentalize or strip back the framework, you can then start implementing it into every area, which is so powerful to help you get what you want from your life, as mentioned. So to register, you can see the link in the comments of the podcast, wherever you're listening to this. You can head over to the YouTube. You can jump on the Instagram. There's going to be links to register for that. It will be the best 30 minutes and the most impactful 30 minutes you will invest, aside from this podcast, over the next couple of months. I can promise you that. I'll be going above and beyond to deliver. But let's talk long-distance relationships. It's what's really on my mind at the moment. And for those who follow on social, you'll see my wife's overseas, and it'll have been 5 weeks since I've last seen her by the time I get over to the States. But while that may seem like long distance or may not seem like long distance, when Amy and I first got together, roughly around, I'd say about 9 months into our relationship, was when her music career took off. And that took them traveling all around the world. And we spent lots of time apart, like literally in that first year, or from that moment, 12 months, we would have spent like 3 months together and 9 months apart while she was traveling. And so I was left to deal with a lot of insecurity and various other, I had to really work on myself. And over the last couple of weeks, I've really been reminded of how important those things are to work on, and just how challenging a long distance relationship could be. So for anyone out there who's doing it and doing it really well, I applaud you. I personally am not a fan of it. I'd rather have my wife here. It makes everything heaps better. But some things that are helping us manage this time and have helped us manage it in the past are also things that probably you can use in all areas to, I guess, leapfrog off the back of last Thursday's podcast. But I want to talk about communication. I want to talk about your needs, the expectations, and also dealing with or building trust within the relationship at that point in time, because I think they're all very important things. And I just want to also recognize how fucking lucky we are now to have FaceTime and the ability to video call. I can't imagine 30 years ago when you had to write a note and wait a couple of weeks for it to get over there and wait a couple more weeks for that to come back. Like, that would have been very, very challenging. And you also missed out on all of those cues, those communicational cues like body language, tonality, and everything else. You had to really, I guess, create it from what you were reading on the letters. So I'm super grateful for that. That has definitely made things so much easier. But let's talk communication. So one of the biggest challenges I'm dealing with at the moment for it is the time time zones. Now, normally it would work well. Obviously, I'm in the middle of the row. My wife's songwriting at the moment. So by the time I wake up, I'm straight into work. I'm straight with clients because that's the time that I do it before the row. Now, for her, as I'm sort of finishing, she's going into the studio, which leaves us with a little window to communicate. And depending on what time I'm rowing during the day, I might have already started rowing, which means I won't get to necessarily have a conversation, just a quick good morning message, and that's about it. And one of the things that we have had a conversation around is we need to not allow multiple days to go by in order to communicate. Because for me personally, one of my needs is I obviously love my wife, and I want to be able to feel connected and feel heard, and also find out what's going on in her world. So for me, being able to have those conversations is extremely important. So last week we went through like 5 days of not having a phone call, just purely because of, poor management on my behalf. I'll take responsibility for that, and not really, I guess it's been a couple of years since we've had that time apart. So not really being aware of what I needed and how I could set an expectation to have that met, and also once again find out what my wife's expectations were. So understanding how that communication goes, because for me personally, I fucking hate texting. I think it's a quick way to communicate, but I feel like a text message never ends, or it never really starts. It's like you don't say goodnight, you just carry on the conversation. It's like that song that never ends, that conversation that never ends, and I feel like everything needs a start and a finish so you can start again. With that communication, but also making sure that all the levels of communication is met. I don't want to, have a relationship that is like a text bot, like just reading text messages. That's not what it is for me. Yes, I can make it work short term, but making sure that we schedule time to have FaceTime and all of that sort of stuff is extremely important, and it's a need of mine and also my wife's. It's, as well, the communication. For me, it's not about the good morning messages or the good night love you messages. I genuinely am curious as what's going on in your day. I'm also excited to share what's going on in my day. So to have that 5 to 10 minute chat where you can share that and find out about that is extremely important for me in those long distance relationships, or when things are going long distance. The other thing is really diving into those expectations. What are the expectations you have around when you can see each other? And one thing, I won't use this example right now, what we're experiencing, because it's 5 weeks. It's not, as I mentioned, the end of the world. But back when we'd spend 3, 4, 5 months apart, generally what we would start doing when we would be I'd fly over for a week or two just to catch up, even if it was following her working, which wasn't extremely cool experiences, but also watching someone work isn't ideal when you're doing the admin nitty gritty stuff. So we'd do that just to get that time together, and to really be able to prioritize that is extremely important. Now, I mentioned earlier as well, feeling insecure and all of that sort of stuff. I don't experience that anymore, but I also know it can be something that lack of trust and insecurity is something that people experience in distance relationships. And I definitely experienced that when we first started dating, because I didn't value myself. And obviously, Amy was out there doing Ellen and Jimmy Fallon and going on to all these incredible shows and growing an incredible career for herself. So a lot of insecurities popped up where I didn't feel good enough, I didn't feel worthy enough, and I didn't feel like she could love someone like me. She deserved someone better. And my advice to those who maybe experience that within your long distance relationship, it's not about looking outside. You've got to be the one who really values your own, or has a better opinion of yourself. Nothing's really changed in who I am as opposed to who I was a few years ago. Yes, maybe business has grown and I'm a bit more confident in certain areas, but I'm still at the core of things the same person. And a lot of the work that I've done has been on myself, learning to love myself, learning to value myself and see that and be able to express that throughout the world. Because for me, if our relationship were to break down, it would be, sad. It would be extremely sad. But I also have this belief in myself that I'm worthy of creating everything that I wanted in my life and I'm deserving of that. So if we're not going to be part of each other's lives through that fact, I'm not going to sit here while she's away feeling anxious and overwhelmed and stressed the whole time. It's just understanding that I want to make sure she has an incredible time. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm working on in regards to work, this rowing challenge. But what's important to me is just managing that expectations around our communication, and getting that face time is extremely important for me to maintain, or to not really feel stressed and not feel like I'm not important almost over those couple of weeks. Even though I know that's not the case, it's just, if you can't fucking schedule 5 to 10 minutes out of your day, what are you doing? So, gents, if you are in a long-distance relationship and you're making it work, like I said, you're fucking brilliant. If you are in a long-distance relationship as well, and I'd love to know what's the end game? Like, are you going to move closer together? Who's going to make this sacrifice? Who's going to make the choice? How are you going to make that work? And I'd love to, drop into the DMs. I'd love to talk to you guys about that. Like, obviously for me, I'm flying over to Nashville on the 29th, which will be amazing. Get to experience some American food and beverages and everything like that, and just get back with the wife. So that'll be awesome. So, gents, I want to leave you with that. That was probably more of a what's going on in my life sort of episode. I'm sure there are some of you who can relate, and definitely something that maybe the flip side for those who can't relate, you can be grateful for that your partner is there, and that's obviously a choice that you've made. Also, just to plug that How to Build Massive Confidence workshop again, webinar, that's free. Check that out, and I look forward to seeing you guys on a future episode. Remember, do something today that will make you better for tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachie Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.